Okay, so the first step is selecting your fabric, and I've picked this fabric. I actually had tried to make it into a dress, but that failed horribly, so I'm just going to be using the main skirt section of this fabric. But basically, you want a cotton fabric, preferably cotton, just for the sake of being easy to sew. And this one actually has a little bit of sort of texturing on there. That's fine if you want to work with that, or you can just get some plain fabric, but this is just what I sort of happen to have laying around as extra. So, you know, you want it to be not too thin, like not just completely sheer, but also the thicker the fabric is, the harder it'll be to work with. Then you want a thread that matches it, and it can be, you know, okay if it doesn't match it exactly, but it should be fairly close. So once you've done that, of course you'll also need, you know, your sewing machine and your cutting tools. And so yeah, on to step 2, cutting. So for cutting your fabric, you'll either need fabric scissors, which are available at any craft store, or a rotary cutter, and the sort of accompanying tools. And these are a bit more expensive. I would recommend only buying one of these if you do a lot of either sewing things that are going to be straight edged like this, or quilting. I got all of this stuff as a gift from my grandma when I started getting into quilting. But basically what you'll need to use a rotary cutter is the cutter itself, and then some sort of straight edge to use with it. And mine's just this big clear thing. I hope you can kind of see it on camera. It has all these black lines marking stuff. And then you'll need one of these cutting mats. And these come in all sorts of sizes. I actually have a bigger one of these somewhere that I need to find because this one's sort of breaking here. But yeah, let me just adjust the camera and then I'll show you how I... Okay, so I have my mat laid out here, and I'm just going to take the fabric and fold it over. So you can see this is basically just a square. So I'm going to take it, fold it over like this, and even these edges out. Now, okay, one important thing to keep in mind is if the fabric has a sort of created straight edge, like this edge here, this is like the finished edge, use that as your kind of guide to how straight you're going to be going. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold this in half again and lay it down on here. Now this tote that we're going to be making today, I'm going to be making about 14 inches square. So you'll want to make it 15 inches to allow for the seams. So you line it up like this, and then you take your ruler and you line both sides up with the 15 both above and below the fabric. Then you take your rotary cutter, and this one has like a safeguard thing. You slide that down, and be very careful because it's easy to sort of flip with this, and these are also very sharp and you don't want to cut your fingers. So now we have this part cut, and then we're just going to lay it down here and cut it 15 inches the other direction. And there, we're done with the cutting. Okay, so now you're going to need another piece of fabric, exactly the same size as this one, to be the lining. And you could use something like this, which is just like a plain cotton color that sort of matches this. But just because I'm trying to just sort of stick to using this fabric, I'm just going to use more of this fabric, cut in the exact same shape as this, and I'll be back after I've finished that. Now you're going to want to take both of your fabrics, or both of the pieces of fabric, and make sure that the right sides are facing in toward each other. Now I'm going to show you both ways that this might happen. You might have two separate pieces, in which case you'll just take them, flip them around, and put the right sides together. Like this. Or you might have one piece that was cut along a fold, in which case you'll just take it and reverse the direction that it's folded in. So now you should have the wrong side of the fabric facing out, and you should have sort of one doubled over square. Now what you're going to do, if you have two separate pieces, is just sew along 3 of the 4 sides. So basically you're going to be making a tote shape where it'll be like, you know, open up here at the top, but all the other sides are closed. And if you have it like this, you can leave the fold, this part, as your bottom, and just sew down each of the 2 sides. So I'm going to go sew that, and of course, you know, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can sew this by hand. It'll just probably be a little bit, you know, weaker, and just, you know, obviously it'll take longer, but you can definitely do that. However, I'm going to use a machine, so I will be right back after I've sewn these. Okay, so now that you've got your things sewn, you'll have one like this, and then another exactly like it. Is take whichever one is going to be like the outside color showing, and well, actually it doesn't matter because this tote is going to be reversible, but flip that one inside out, and then take the other one while it's still inside out. I guess this one would be flipped right side out, and sort of just take the open end here, just, you know, make sure that's here, make sure you have the bottom end, sort of scrunch that up, and stick it in the other one. Then stick your hands inside both of them and sort of just work it around until the corners line up with each other. So you can see my fingers here in the corner, and then I'm going to move over here and do the same thing on this corner. So now we're done with this bag for right now, and we're going to move on to the strap.